Glam Fam, Linwood here, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about postpartum alopecia. Now, if you don't know what alopecia is hair loss that typically can be caused by a number of different things, which is what we're deep diving into in this series. So if you haven't seen my last video on traction alopecia, as well as the video before that talking about the differences between breakage, shedding, and alopecia, make sure that you check those out, as well as the videos to come depending on when you watch this. Just so you guys know, postpartum alopecia is basically hair loss that happens postpartum or after you've had a child. Now, there's some things that you need to understand about hair growth and hair loss and all that in general, and postpartum alopecia is a lot more common than you may think. I do see it really prevalently in the Black community as well as in the Latina community. I don't know what the difference is genetically in those two ethnic backgrounds that make those women more prone to it, but literally any culture, any race, any background can experience postpartum alopecia. Typically, your hair goes through 4 stages of growth. 3 stages are primarily taught about, and I'll go ahead and dive into those slightly without trying to get too deep. So you got the anagen stage, which is the growing stage, the catagen stage, which is the pause stage, the telogen stage, which is the stage where the hair is falling out of the follicle, and then in some instances you have a 4th stage called the exogen stage. That is where the follicle is empty and it's just waiting for new hair to grow. In most instances, majority of the hair won't even go through exogen. It will just go through anagen, catagen, and telogen because the new hair is pushing the old hair out. So that's kind of the issue there. When you're in pregnancy, you'll notice a lot of women say that their hair is growing longer, it's growing faster, it feels thicker, and there's a reason for that. And a lot of women, your hair during pregnancy is going through anagen and catagen phases. It's not going through the telogen phase, which means you're not going to be shedding as much on a normal basis as you should. Now, in the first video in this series, you'll realize that I said on there that it's typically pretty normal for someone to shed anywhere from 60 to 100 strands a day, depending on your natural density and your natural shed pattern. If you're experiencing hair loss on that frequent of a basis, or if you're experiencing that type of shedding, you have to keep in mind, if your hair is only going through the growth stage and the pause stage, and it's not really going through the telogen stage, you've got 10 months worth of time. I don't know why they say 9, let's be real. Anyone who has carried a baby, you know what, bump that. Let's do some basic math, okay? 4 weeks are in a month, 40 weeks to a pregnancy, 4 times 10, okay, 10 months. So, nonetheless, you've got 10 months worth of shedding that is having to happen a lot of times at the end of that pregnancy as the body's hormones and things are starting to balance back out. There are a number of different things that you need to understand here. Postpartum alopecia is very serious, and in some instances you can see it permanently change up a woman's hair. Just so you know, anything that impacts the hormones impacts the hair as well. So a lot of times you see the same issues with postpartum alopecia as you do with people who are menopausal or postmenopausal, and it deals with the production of hormones and all of that within the body as well. So typically the hormone imbalance and the fact that you're providing all these nutrients for your unborn child is going to cause that hair to stop going through the fallout phase and having to reproduce new hair, because your body is basically pushing energy to where it needs to. So in that instance, you're not going to be shedding in the amount that you typically would. Now, because of that, you've got that full 10 months worth of shedding that you've got to do at the end of the pregnancy. So a lot of times for a full 6 months, if not a little longer, you'll see excessive amounts of shedding to the hair. That is fairly normal. Now, one of the more primary issues that you see people deal with, especially Latino women and especially Black women, or just women of color in general, is they have thinning just above the temple area. So not in the temples here, but literally like right in here will thin out, or it will completely go shiny bald in there for a good period of time. Now, that is common. I'm not going to say it's normal. It's very common. There's not a ton that you can do about that other than just kind of give it a light massage. Try not to put any stress on this hair during this time. Try to leave it more in down styles. If you're putting it in protective styles, make sure they're not overly tight. Don't try to do like a ton of box braids and things like that on that area in that time, because you're putting a lot of stress on there and you can actually cause traction alopecia on the remaining hair that's left, just due to the amount of weight on such a small portion of hair that's frequently shedding at that time. Now, if you don't know what traction alopecia is, make sure you check out the last video and I'll deep dive into that. The nice thing is typically within 6 to 10 months, the hair kind of balances back out and you see some of the normal thickness returning, or at least some of the shedding stopping. Unfortunately, in a lot of instances, this keeps trying to go flat over here. In a lot of instances, you'll see where that thinning area will thicken back up, but it often does not return to your normal density. The best thing I can tell you is make sure that you're eating nutrient-rich foods and make sure that you are taking care of your health as well as possible, especially if you are nursing. It is huge. You've got to make sure to do it. If this video has been helpful for you, please let me know by leaving a comment in the comment box down below. Let me know if you have any other questions about postpartum alopecia. If you have questions about traction alopecia, make sure to check that out. In the next video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about male pattern baldness or female pattern baldness as well, and some of the different issues that can be caused with that. Stay tuned. Until I see you next time, God bless and stay glam. And don't forget to subscribe. Love you guys. Bye.